Hey, and thank you for clicking play. Part 2 of this PC. It's currently booted up. It's in XP. It's not beeping because I've currently still got the PC speaker unplugged. So it's not fixed. And thank you for everybody who's put some suggestions in the comments after I posted the previous video, which I posted ahead of time simply because the video was ready. But lots of good suggestions, CPU issues, but it's clearly booting all the way into Windows XP, so not too sure. But, you know, I'm not going to say that's definitely not it at all to any of the suggestions. CPU temp, I mean, the machine was from cold and it was beeping, so I really don't think it's that. Plus, remember, I did go into the BIOS and turn off all alarms, and it was still beeping insistently. Fan, I mean the CPU fan is spinning up absolutely fine. And again, I turned off the alarms. But I'm of the mind of, you know, keep it simple, stupid. Let's replace the BIOS battery. All right, simplest thing to do on any machine that's been sitting for a long time, replace the BIOS battery, and let's see where that gets us. What I've also got here is my friend Shane, you've heard of his name a lot, has lent me a spare PSU, which should hopefully fit this machine. So that's possibly something we'll go to as well. But I want to keep things simple. I want to replace the BIOS battery, first and foremost. And what I also want to do is try and get to these switches and just give these a clean up. And make sure that they're working at this end, and then we'll go from there. Let's do it. So yeah, obviously, simplest things first. Let's turn this off at the back. And let's take this out. He says knock in the camera and then knock in the light. Alright, there's the original battery. These are what are they? These are these. A 2032. Let's crack these bad boys open. It's always easier said than done. I suspect there's actually a layer of plastic both sides, so let's get some scissors into this. Far out, that was harder than it needed to be. Okay, where are we? We're there. Let's clip that in. That's in. And let's plug in the speaker. First of all, okay, speaker's plugged back in. Let's also plug in the reset switch. We might as well just, you know, hope for the best that this is literally fixed everything in one go, which it won't have done, but you never know. And let's go all in. Replace the power switch as well. Let's trip this out with a pair of scissors. I really think we've got a slow release on the power supply. That's what I suspect. It's going to have to wait for that to come on by itself. because that's what this machine does. And sure enough, after about 5 minutes, the machine has just booted up itself for no apparent reason. The bad news is there's nothing on the screen this time. Let's reset it. And the beeping's back. Okay, that's a successful test for me because that basically shows that it's not the fact that the BIOS is losing the settings or anything. That's not the reason. And now that that's fully booted up, let's just try powering off again. That switch jumper is working. You just saw that power off from a hold. And now let's just hold that down again. Interestingly, it doesn't want to power back up from the switch. Okay, I'm really leaning towards the power supply being the primary problem here, rather than those switches. Okay, I think you're in focus. Moving the machine to the floor. Found this in... Fairly sure that's not a good idea to have floating around, but it wasn't touching anything, so... Anyway, it's fine. Let's do this power supply. Now I've lost my screwdriver. There it is. It was behind me. That's everything. So that's my power supply. Easy to tell because it's only got an in, it hasn't got a pass through. That's actually fairly low profile. I'm not too worried about that, to be honest. Do I touch it? Do I risk it? How does it come out? Like that. Yeah. Alright, let's pull it out. And ideally I'd give it a clean, but really I just want to make sure it's seated properly. That is very dusty in there. Unless we get into further trouble, I've just inhaled I don't know what dust. Unless we get into further trouble, I'm not going to clean it at this stage. I'm just going to make sure it's fully in there. Which it is. And that was fairly easy to pull out too. Alright, that's that. RAM is in. And it was passing all the RAM tests. And what I'm also going to just quickly do... Shall I reseat all the RAMs as well? There's something in there. Spider's leg or something. I mean, the RAM was testing okay, but let's just pull it out and just shove it back in again. CMOS battery's been done. If I'm going to do troubleshooting, I'd rather do one thing at a time. The next thing I would do is basically put all these cards and put them back in one at a time. That is how I would play this. Okay, so I'm going to put this power switch and everything back in as well. We're putting this new power supply in. Right, everything's plugged in there. Let's plug this new power supply in, or this lone power supply, should I say. Done. That's everything plugged in. Power switch and everything's plugged in. Let's just leave that sitting on top because that should be fine. Or no, let's put it in place. power. Noisy fan in here. Don't think it's this fan. That booted up straight away. And the switch on the front of the case is working. And that was a single beep. Hello. That was a single beep. So that's just swapping the power supply. Let's plug it all back in. Could it have been that easy that it is literally just the power supply? Well, I mean, let's face it, I did also reseat the CPU, the main processor, the Pentium 3 in that slot 1. So that could have been slightly dislodged as well. We did the two things at once. And now it's got me wondering if it was just... Damn it, I'm going to have to try, aren't I? I'm thinking it's the PSU, but we did also reseat the RAM, and we also reseated the Pentium 3 slot there. That surely wouldn't have had an impact on the on-off. There's only one way to find out, isn't there? Let's swap it back out and just doubly check that it was actually the power supply, because you just never know. Okay, original power supply is back in. You can tell by the black things. And also, this is a SATA connector. I do remember my dad saying he had to replace the power supply at one point. But all the other connectors are fine. They will match. So that's fine. Plug in. Switch on. Nothing. Power switch not doing anything. So 100% power supply issue. Let's swap it back out again and see where we're at with this machine. The PC speaker is definitely plugged in. So I'm going to put it all back together again. I won't record that. I'm going to swap it all out again. We'll put it back on the desk and see how happy this machine is just with a power supply swap. Okay, so we've got Shane's replacement power supply plugged in. The original is here. This is very light as well. It's a modern one. What's the output on it? 450. So this is an ATX 450 watt power supply. Didn't see what Shane's was. We're all plugged in. Everything's plugged in. Speakers are now on. Let's plug this in and see what's happy and what isn't. Turn it on, I mean. Power switch is working beautifully. Only getting a light from this drive. Didn't see a light on this drive. Haven't seen a light on either of these. Graphics card's happy. Memory test. CPU, Pentium 3, 550 megahertz. No error beeps. Error beeps have gone. And you can tell by the first beep, the PC speaker is working fine. Memory test is okay. So I'm not going to go into the BIOS and change anything. It's picked up the primary drive. It's picked up the 2 CD drives on the way in there. That's just from a previous boot test. And you're probably hearing vacuuming in the background, so excuse that. Well, I mean, there's no error beeps. I mean, I don't know why I'm crossing my fingers. There's no error beeps. We are fine. Okay, the machine is fully booted up. There's no error beeping. And we did hear that initial beep on boot. So the PC speaker is plugged in correctly. Powered on using that. So it's literally just a power supply issue. And I just want to see which of these drives is working. During the setup, it definitely detected both of these. So I'm just going to get a disk here and see. Let's go drive A first of all. Okay, well, interestingly, B isn't even showing up on the list. A is flicking. Probably needs formatting. It's definitely seeing A drive. That could be an issue with this disk, I don't know. Or this drive might need cleaning. Not seeing any joy from B. So that might be a BIOS thing. I'll have a look at that in a minute. Let's see about these two drives. That's not very healthy. That's certainly not healthy. But let's just stick... it's going to use a Ribbon CD here. So this should be E drive, which is, it's showing up as E here. So that's consistent. And that should come up there. Yep. Ribbon 3 is showing up in E drive there, and it's come up here as well. Let's swap it into D drive. Certainly seen better days, but do you know what? It's part of the history of this machine. That's better. D drive's better. So C drive is a 16-speed CD writer. D drive is just a CD-ROM. That should come up here. Yep, that's working fine. Let's see if we can fix this B drive, and I'm suspecting it's just disabled in the BIOS. Okay, let's have a look. Standard CMOS features, primary drive B none. So let's change that. Page up and down is modify. 1.44. That's that done. Save and exit. Off we go. Didn't see if... We'll watch these two. Yeah, it checked both on the way in. We know these work, so that's fine. Getting excited. I'm getting excited. Oh, very good. Okay, the machine's up and running. Back into Windows XP. I've done a cut because it takes so long because you've got Norton antivirus and all this other Kodak Easy Transfer and all that booting up. So I've spared you that. I believe this floppy drive, the B is now working, but let's give that a test. That's clicking away, the light's on. And it doesn't think there's anything in it. Let's just put a text file in there. Right, there's a test document in there. Let's eject that. Let's put it in A. A thinks it's not formatted. So that might be a dirty drive problem, or it may be that these heads are slightly out of a line. I think A drive's got a problem. Let's have a quick look at what is working in... Well, first of all, what graphics card we got. We've seen what it is on boot up. There we go. So we've got an NVIDIA GeForce 2 MX 400. And we know it's got 64 meg of RAM. .64 meg of RAM, GeForce 2 MX 400. So that is all very happy. Let's just, we're at 800 by 600, 32-bit high color. Let's whack that up. 1024 by 768 is going to be happy. Happy, 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 happy. Oh, all the way up to 1280 by 1024 in 32-bit. It's going to be happy with that, is it? Let's have a look. Oh, yes. Very nice. Beautiful, migraine-inducing, high resolution, very small fonts. Love it. Let's put that back, because otherwise you're not going to be able to see what's going on. The mouse is being tetchy, by the way, simply because it's an old IR mouse on a desk rather than a mouse pad. Right, what I also want to look at is, let's just have a look at what devices are happy. And if any devices aren't happy. We have no errors on anything. So let's have a look, because we've got a few quirky things here. We have the 1394, which is the Firewire. That's there. Fantastic. We should have 2 network adapters. We do indeed. The 1394 counts as a network adapter. Plus we've got the Netgear and we've got the Realtek. Both of those are showing up absolutely fine. And we should have a modem. Yep, we've got the built-in modem as well. And we know the sound card's working, but let's just have a look and see what that is. Which I don't know how, but yeah, whatever. It is a, I know it's a standard Sound Blaster compatible, is what it is. Fantastic. Has it detected that joystick yet? Probably, might have done. Human input devices. That's the mouse. Keyboard's there. Where are other human input devices? Here. Not seeing the joystick. Not seeing the joystick, but I've not tried installing a driver for it, so that's probably the issue there. We've got the COM ports and we've got the parallel port. They're all being seen absolutely fine as well. Yeah, USB human input device. Well, that's this mouse. So, in terms of where we go from here, I think we're on to the software restoration part of the project, which will be part 3, because we know that the power supply is the issue on this machine, and there doesn't appear to be any other issues. Well, other than A drive being a bit dicky. So I think swapping these 2 out is probably the way to go. I'll just keep it as a B drive. Then they'll be labelled incorrectly. That's going to drive me mental. Anyway, we'll see what we do. Maybe I'll give it a bit of a clean and hope that fixes the problem. But that's a small problem. The software for the game controllers I'm not fussed about at the moment, because at the end of the day I will be taking this software-wise back to Windows 98, because that's where I had this machine. So I'm very happy. Processor seems fine, RAM seems fine, graphics card's fine. It's seeing all of the devices that are plugged into those slots, and there's a lot of devices plugged in. So yeah, the next phase really is get this back to how I remember it. And then there it is. My PC back up and running again. Keeping in mind, this isn't my power supply, so I do need to get a power supply. This one is on loan by Shane, but at least I know that that is the issue. Thank you for watching. Wait, not quite so fast. Because I just messaged Shane to say, you know, is he selling this PSU, or does he know anybody that is? And if not, I know a couple of other people I can hit up. And he said, mate, keep it, because it was a spare one he had, and I just owe him beers next time we go to the pub. So that won't be too far down the track, because that's what we do. So Shane, here's to you. Thank you so much. So that's it. That is it. Other than the floppy drive, this machine is fully operational. Software next. Watch this. Nice way to end. It even works the power button for turning the machine off. Love it. Cheers guys. Cheers Shane. You can go now. Awkward. Just sitting around. Bye.